ask you both to look into your crystal ball. And I know that no one can predict the future. We can certainly try. I've certainly tried and I've missed miserably. But as we look ahead, I'm curious what future AI advancements do you anticipate having the biggest impact on sales teams? And how can organizations, how can businesses prepare for these changes right now? We're in October of 2024. How can we ready ourselves for these upcoming changes?
I think we are right at the right time, kind of in terms of I mean, a completely new technology coming. Like this is like Web one back 20 years back. So
Yep.
AI is, I think at that stage. In fact, maturer than that stage at least. And some of the obvious things are, of course, like as we have discussed earlier as well, like automating some of the manual tasks. I mean, if you have to look at the future of it, and tasks which generally salesperson, let's say, for I'm considering sales as a use case to, let's say, discuss this point. I mean, one of the things is like salesperson should not be spending 2 hours updating CRMs, or let's say doing things that they are not supposed to, that's not going to add to their productivity or add to their revenue, right? So salesperson's main objective, and sales is the kind of the oldest profession, one of the oldest professions, is like to generate revenue. So how do you generate revenue? When you put in time into that. You're not going to generate revenue by filling data in a Google sheet or even in an Excel sheet or a CRM for that matter, right? So that's where we see, that's one thing. I think the manual, automating the manual tasks. Second is your basically automating tasks which depending on the strength of the salesperson, and this is slightly futuristic as well. So let's say I am very good at closing a deal. I'm not good at opening a conversation, let's say. So giving tasks, or basically doing automating some of the tasks which a salesperson, or maybe using tools to use to kind of fulfill that objective would be something which we see in the future. And there, I mean, as a salesperson, you still have to manage the end-to-end process. You'd rather manage the part of the sales where exactly is your strength, right? So instead of spending time on something which you are not so good at, spend time on something which is already a trait on you, a trait with you, you have, and or you can kind of improve further on that. You can be the top 1% in that particular category or that particular kind of skill. So that is one thing. And of course, I think a lot of discussion has been happening around kind of maybe a BDR role would not be there, or BDR role would be extinct in some years or something like that. I mean, at least from my perspective, what we see is that is going to be there, but in a different way. So right now, a lot of the tasks that the BDRs do is very manual. They will send emails, they'll send LinkedIn connects, or they'll do cold calls. So at least some part of that would be fully automated, and the guys would be focusing more on the human element of it, which is where people connect better. Let's say, imagine, let's say Tanner kind of talking to a salesperson, and it's a robo or an AI kind of a guy, AI person, rather than an actual human. So you don't connect to kind of a AI person. Probably you might get the information that you need, but eventually you'll want to talk to a person to be able to, let's say, conclude a thing, right, or close the deal probably. So these are the few areas we see: automation of tasks, or reducing the manual effort, reducing the things people don't really kind of enjoy doing. You'd rather have the AI do that for you. So these are the few things I think where we see. And agents are pretty big, with elephant in the room, Salesforce kind of identifying that as one of the big thing, agent force. We definitely see that is going to be there, but maybe that will not completely eliminate the BDR role. It will kind of enhance the BDR role. So it will basically only help them do the job better.
Wow. Tanner, before we get to you, Sachin, you made a great point. And I was there at Dreamforce to see the rollout of Agent Force. I even had my Einstein. They outfitted me with the whole Einstein outfit. And I love what you said in terms of AI supplementing. And I think what I heard you say is that we're in a B2B world, not business to business, but belly to belly. And with that, it's the true, genuine human element, the relationships that are going to separate those that thrive leveraging AI versus those that kind of get stuck in a rut and say, hey, we're not going to do this AI thing. They're going to be left behind. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sachin. Tanner, what do you have to add?
Yeah. In addition to what Sachin said, I think what will be important moving forward is reconnecting with your pipeline, or call it kind of like a web of people you've talked to in the past, in a hyper personalized way. I think there's so many cold emails, nurtured emails that really aren't relevant for any single individual. So I think it's leveraging AI to get a better understanding of where the potential customer is at. Whether that's pulling notes that you have from your CRM, or pulling, a recent news article about the business itself, and using that at scale. Right. I think, Lighter Capital, for instance, is creating a lighter analytics platform. So we're getting mainly software as a service companies, financials, revenue retention, churn, those types of SaaS metrics, and offering it to anyone actually who wants to get involved with lighter analytics. And we want to use that leverage to not only say, hey, now might be a good time to reconnect with you in regards to capital, but we can actually get an understanding that, hey, you're in the top 10% of churn SaaS metrics that we have. That seems like a really strong position to potentially look at capital, because you have a product that people tend to like and stay with. Right. So I think that's kind of where it's changing, going from just general generic templates to, actually understanding, each of the individuals in a CRM at scale. I think it's hard to do, but I think that's, where I imagine it would be